Hello YouTube, how's it going? So single player games, they are wonderful experiences. They have a beginning, middle, and end, and some single player games have really large replay value. For example, Dishonored, then most Bioware games have large amounts of replayability. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, not to say that there aren't games that do encourage players to replay them for other purposes, such as Super Mario 64 and Resident Evil games being extremely popular among speedrunners. GoldenEye is also in a very popular speedrunning category. Minecraft as well. But Minecraft is an open sandbox building simulator, so people just do whatever they want in that game. Either way, I saw this tweet and I thought it was a very bad take, so I'm going to use it for content. So this is a person who writes for several websites. One of them, I only recognize CBR and Polygon, but seeing that this person has experience in gaming, that's what makes this take a little even worse. So after a mere 6 weeks, Hogwarts Legacy went from the only game people talked about to utterly unplayed. For comparison, how drastic this is. So this is Hogwarts Legacy when it launched, 800,000, 1 million Twitch viewers, players 75,000, 16,000, which is for 1 month after it launched. Now, here's Elden Ring, which they're comparing. 800,000 players at launch, 900,000 Twitch viewers, 400,000 players, and 200,000 Twitch viewers. Now, if you've played both of these games, I have. I've played both of these games. I got the platinum in both of them. For Hogwarts Legacy, I believe it took me 40 hours. For Elden Ring, it took me around 130 hours to get the platinum. These are radically different games. Yes, they're both single-player games, but Elden Ring has player versus player, which kind of reignited the game for players when they wanted to get back for new content. Not to mention it has multiple endings. It's much more open-ended than Hogwarts Legacy, and it's much longer. Like, the game is far longer than Hogwarts Legacy. For example, Margaret is the biggest progression blocker. Most of us, when we encountered Margaret, literally told us to fuck off and go and explore the rest of the lands between in order to gain new weapons and understand the mechanics. That's the thing. If you come into Elden Ring as a new player, I had experience from Bloodborne and Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3. Those are the three from software games I beat as well. I had a lot more understanding of the systems as opposed to if you're an entirely new player, good luck. Like, all I can say is good luck. You're in for a ride and prepare for a lot of pain because you're going to have to essentially learn a lot of stuff if you hope to succeed in this game. And yes, it is a lot more, I would say, easier in the sense that they do have more readily available companions to assist you in combat. It still doesn't make it that this game is incredibly challenging and prepare for a lot of difficult battles where you're going to have to memorize a lot of patterns. Either way, this is a really bad take. Not to mention that single player games that don't really have like divergent paths of how you experience it. Yes, Hogwarts Legacy has the three houses that you can choose from, but other than getting a different house garment and one exclusive mission that makes the during the end of Act 1, there is no difference based on what house you pick. Yeah, there are small cosmetic changes, such as, for example, there's one mission where you can change the house banners based on whatever house you're in when you disguise yourself as a certain person. I won't say who, but it's just very small cosmetic changes. There's really no reason what your house plays into. Yeah, you can explore the other dorms, only the dorm that you align yourself with, but for the most part, most of the content is almost 99% of the content is available to you. So let's read on. Hogwarts, the Hero of Hogwarts is the achievement you get for finishing the game. Only a fourth of the players who bought it played it that long. The game isn't particularly long. First off, the game is around 35 hours long if you just play the game casually. And that's the other thing. Just because someone hasn't finished the game doesn't mean they're not still playing it. Like, everyone goes at their own pace. Everyone has their own skill level. Everyone has different lives they live. What if someone lost their job? Maybe they don't want to play Hogwarts Legacy. They are looking for a new job. Maybe they're getting married. Maybe they went on vacation. Maybe they're not good at video games and they're just playing it as casually as possible. This is the first time you can explore Hogwarts in its entirety. Maybe they're taking it slow, finding everything, reading everything, exploring everything. I remember when my ex-girlfriend, when I brought her an Xbox One so she could play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, she literally spent 10 hours on the opening island. Why? Because she wanted to see everything. She wanted to explore everything. She was looking at the flowers, the NPCs, the different areas on the island. Like, she was exploring. Everyone goes at games at their different rate. I'm a streamer, content creator, and a game journalist. I have 15 years in the game industry professionally. I have to complete games as quickly as possible. I have doesn't mean I don't take my time and explore everything, but I'm more seasoned. I grasp mechanics much more easier, and I go through the game a lot more effectively than say someone who barely plays video games, probably has an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC, and probably plays one game a year. Like, they're not going to go at the same rate. Like, yeah, the game is over a month old, doesn't matter. Someone's probably only playing 1 day a week. They didn't even beat the game and move on like so many of you say. They just got bored of it. That's also a bad take. You don't know what these people like. Yeah, there are going to be some people who get bored of it and never play it again. I just did that with Sekiro. I literally got to the Raging Bull boss fight and I was getting so frustrated with the game, I put it down. I don't think I'll ever pick it up. Does that mean that I hate the game? No. I think the game is incredible. It's just not for me. And maybe some people thought that. They're like, okay, this game is probably not for me. I'm not going to play it again. Or, again, taking their own time. To those saying, look at Elden Ring's finish rate, well, Elden Ring's main story is longer than Hogwarts' whole game. It's shorter end of RPG standards. Hell, it's shorter than the original Kingdom Hearts. That's untrue. That's actually untrue. I played the original Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation 2. It took me 20 hours to complete it. It took me, I would say, 25 hours to get everything in the game and beat Sephiroth. Like, granted, this wasn't the director's cut of the game. The director's cut is far harder than the original release, which was very easy. And I was a kid back then. When you buy a game or get a game, you literally make that your entire world. So I was a lot more effective of how I played games. I wasn't doing it to play content. I was doing to make it, to play the game. Let's see. Main story 55 hours. Main and side stories 99 hours. Completionist 133 hours. All styles 106 hours. I 100% disagree with this. While focusing on main objectives, Elden Ring is about 55 hours and a half. That's wrong. Like, if you pick up this game first time, there's no way. Unless you're the master of video game mechanics in every regard, there's no way you're going to beat this game in 55 hours. Like, again, I would call myself a seasoned gamer. I'm not a From Software expert. I've played my fair share. Even I was like having very much a hard time with this game, especially when you get to the Mountain of the Giants. I say I did a good 80% of the content in the available space prior to the Mountain of the Giants. Like, I even did Rakard from the basically interpretation of Hell. And even then, I was so underpowered. Like, I got my butt kicked in by the Frost Dragon in the Frozen Lake, and the game just got oh yeah, and the gargoyle that leads to the entrance. I forgot what it was called. Those freaking gargoyles. Not to mention the Crucible Knights, man. So yeah, I disagree with this. Like, 133 hours completionist. If you're going for all the achievements, 133 hours doesn't seem like, if you do it legitimately while using the cloud save function. It's gonna take you far more than that to get all the achievements, because you need to beat the game multiple times to get all the endings. There are 6 endings in total, I believe, but 2 of the endings you don't need to get for achievements or trophies. Those are just for if you want to get them. I believe it's the Dung Eater ending and the Deathwalker ending. Other than that, no, this chart is completely misleading. What's he comparing it to? From Persona 5 Royale. I did get the platinum on this. I haven't gotten all the achievements on this yet. I kind of just put it aside because the game is so long. 101 hours, give or take, depending on your skill level. If you bullet through a lot of the side content, main and side stories, yeah, that actually makes sense. 123 hours. Completion is 144 hours. Yeah, that's actually a legitimate take on that. That game is far longer, and both of these games are radically different. Elden Ring is an action-adventure RPG. I would say Persona 5 Royale goes more in the line of life simulator. Like, it's more like, yeah, the tactical combat plays a role in the game, but A majority of Persona games deals with the interpersonal connections that you make between the characters. Don't get me wrong, the combat is freaking amazing, especially Persona 4, but it's more about the interactions you make and the friends you make along the adventure, the confidants you build, the skills you build through social interaction. There's definitely a grind to it, so these two games are radically different from one another and not a good comparison. Again, but this person is comparing Hogwarts Legacy to Elden Ring, which is a game that includes multiple endings, multiple takes on different side missions. Doesn't have a quest logger. You literally have to keep track of that yourself. Multiple boss fights in the sense that you can miss out on like a large percent. I would say about a good 50% of side content you can miss out on. You don't even need to fight Star Scourge for Dawn. You don't. You don't even need to fight Melania. Despite Melania being like the poster child of Elden Ring's most difficult boss fight, you don't have to fight Melania. Literally, you have to go out and to find Melania. You don't have to fight her. I almost missed her entirely until someone told me. By all accounts, it wasn't a great game. I disagree with that. Regardless of whether people... Okay, I'm not going to read that because that's far from the point. To me, a game should be held on its own merits. The game aside, it doesn't look good. My moral issue with the game aside, it doesn't look good. You're still using your moral issue as a way to judge your opinion rather than the game itself. The fact that you listed that statement states that. I think it's more important to note that these are only Steam numbers, not including Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 players. It sold 12 million copies in 2 weeks. That is actually a very valid claim. These are only Steam numbers, and you can guarantee that console players are probably a large portion. Not to mention, like, it hasn't come out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and Switch yet, which are a large audience. Yes, the latest generation is 2 years old, but a lot of people haven't upgraded because at this point, there's still no real reason to upgrade. Yeah, the PlayStation 5 has some exclusives, but for the most part, Xbox doesn't even count because you can play all their games on PC. So, yeah, I'd say Switch would be the more bigger competitor because those gamers are more niche. I'm just reeling at the bad idea. I'm just here reeling at the idea of 75K concurrent being utterly unplayed. That is a good point. Can you imagine someone say, your game has 75,000 players playing it right now? It's dead. Granted, it's a AAA game, but that is still very good for a AAA game. Their AAA, I guarantee Square Enix would be happy if 75,000 people were playing Forspoken right now. Like, that is a really good number for a single-player game. It's a single-player game and not a live service. It doesn't matter that people stop playing after the game after a couple of months. And 75,000 is still better than most single-player games out right now. For reference, Dead Space Remake only achieved 28,000 at its peak. I think that's a bit of a bad take. I mean, yeah, he's right that 75,000 is really good for a single-player game, especially 6 months down the line. I think the best take on single-player games was actually Randy Pitchford when he was arguing between new games versus used games, because one of the biggest arguments with used games is that the people who made the games don't make any money if someone just sells their used copy. It's completely a bullshit argument. If you buy a physical copy of a game, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. If you want to give it to someone, you can, or sell it to someone. Either way, his biggest argument was that when a single player game releases, it dies quicker than any other type of game, because the biggest appeal for most single player games, even if they have a very healthy and fun gameplay loop like Marvel's Spider-Man, is the story. And the second the person knows about the story, the game completely loses its appeal to a large portion of people. Like, think about how many people would play Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater after they learned what happened at the end, seeing the final boss and everything. Like, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a masterpiece from what I've been told. I had never played it. I should play it. I mean, I have the Metal Gear Solid collection downstairs. Or, like, if someone knew what happened at the end of BioShock, or the big twist at any of the BioShock games. Like, story is a huge factor. But with this take, the reason I say it's a bad take is because Dead Space is a very niche game. Yeah, it's one of the most popular survival horror video games of all time, but you're going against freaking Harry Potter. It's no competition. Like, Harry Potter is one of the biggest IPs on the planet. Dead Space is not even going to come close to Harry Potter. And 28,000 is still very, very good for Dead Space. I mean, Dead Space was such a success that EA actually sent a survey asking if players would be interested in a Dead Space 2 and a Dead Space 3 remake. While I'm opposed to the idea of remaking Dead Space 2 as one of my favorite games of all time, maybe Dead Space 3, make it more of the line of what the original was supposed to be. I would rather have a new entry in the Dead Space franchise. Remakes are good and all. Dead Space remake was phenomenal. Resident Evil 4 is looking to be phenomenal. I mean, the reviews stated look incredible, but I'd rather have a new entry. The drop is normal. That there is a plummet. 100% disagree. It's not a plummet. Like the first time a game comes out, it's incredibly popular. Then once new game syndrome wears off, people move on to other projects. Like I said, Resident Evil 4 remake is coming out this month. That's the big new title. People will always find what's new more appealing than what's old. And like I stated, it's a single player game. A lot of people already know what happens. It's all over YouTube and Twitch. 75 concurrent is utterly unplayed. What now? Vlad has a really good point. And it just goes on and forth. Like, yeah, this is just something that I think is really stupid and very just. I think this person just has a real bad take on Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling's statements. Like I stated, she wasn't even involved with this game. This was developed by a core team of people who clearly loved Harry Potter and knew what they were doing and wanted to deliver something profound to the fan base, which they did. A large portion of people love this game. I love the game. I read the books, saw the movies. I'm not a hardcore Harry Potter fan, but I am a fan. And I love the idea of exploring Hogwarts. I like being Slytherin. I like doing all of this. But I just think this is a really bad take. Like, on the premise of an argument, the counter arguments just overwhelm everything that this person is stating. And overall, they're comparing two games that couldn't be different. Like, they may be both single player games, but that's like comparing Dishonored to Mass Effect Legendary Edition, or Halo to Final Fantasy, or Metroid Prime. I have it right here. Metroid Prime Remastered. Still haven't played it. I'm really looking forward to playing it, though, because I love it. Metroid Prime Remastered to God of War. Just because two games are single player doesn't mean that they're comparable. Like, it's just a really bad take. Either way, tell me what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. If you really dislike my channel, don't recommend it. I'm still getting people stating why my channel is recommended to them. I can't deal with that right now. Either way, this is me signing out. Goodbye.